Our third historic speech is by Marina Silva, a Brazilian environmentalist and groundbreaking political activist who served as Senator of Brazil from 2003 to 2011. Under her leadership, the Green Movement became mainstream in Brazil. As a native Amazonian and a senator, she built support for environmental protection of the reserves, as well as for social justice and sustainable development in the Amazon region. Deforestation decreased by 59% during her tenure. In 2010, she ran for president under the Green Party, during which she won the popular vote, and again under the Socialist Party in 2014, though she did not win the election. Her opening speech at the third Adaptations of the Future conference, delivered during her 2014 presidential campaign, argued for a new understanding of sustainability. Returning to the stage for a second time this evening, now treated as Marina Silva, is Annie Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez is a founding member of the Undoing Racism Organizing Committee of Western Massachusetts and specializes in organization development, social justice, and anti-racism education and training, and is a community organizer. Please welcome back Annie Rodriguez, reading as Marina Silva.
We need to think about the overall state of the environment, not just the climate. There are other aspects of the global ecology crisis. We must think about the crisis of civilization, the civilization crisis which is affecting the balance of the planet. We need a different developmental model because the current developmental model is not sustainable. This new developmental model sees sustainability as a worldview and life ideal. It will give us the strength of attitude and mind to do what must be done. In the French Revolution, the slogan, equality, liberty, fraternity, enabled a new cradle of civilization to be forged that some people may consider has led us to the edge of a cliff. But it has also led us to the gate of new possibility. Let me tell you about civilization crisis. It has 5 dimensions. 1, the economic crisis. Since 2008, we have been experiencing the consequences of a global recession. 2, the serious social crisis. There are 7 billion people, 2.4 million of whom live on less than $2 a day in 2010. The environmental crisis, climate change is just one aspect of this, which also includes pollution. 4, the political crisis. Globally, people are demanding participation. At the time of the American and French revolutions, there were 1 billion people on the earth. Communication through the form of printed paper allowed the ideas of those revolutions to be spread. Today, 7 billion people have the internet to enable their communication. We must find new ways of undertaking democracy which transcends the kind of democracy that functions through unions, universities, and other organizations. We must democratize democracy. This perspective democracy is about direct people-to-people connection and communication through the internet. We must also remember that democracy has meant different things at different times. For example, Greek democracy was not for women and slaves, but for men. Freedom and democracy came much later for women and slaves. Some people are afraid of new democracy and the emergence of new political protagonists who participate in democracy through their direct actions as individuals. This is a new form of activism, that of the individual protagonist, the mobilizer. But in this, we must also consider what it means for the group and what the group or the collective values should be. 5, the value crisis. By this, I don't mean religious values, but ethical values. I am also talking about clinical values, or rational scientific thinking. For example, taking fever medicine when you have an infection, treating the symptom but not the underlying disease is not a clinical attitude. Despite the scientific data and evidence, we continue to have unsustainability. We need to adopt the precautionary principle. So, the civilization crisis has 5 parts: economic, environmental, social, political, and values. If we look at past civilization collapses through the crisis, we see that when a civilization failed, most people died, but some survived and moved on to another place. Today, due to the integration of climate change impacts across the globe, no one can hide from what's happening. So, a new model is needed for sustainable development. The United Nations recognizes that there were 4 dimensions of sustainability. 1, economics, the need for redistributing wealth. 2, ecology, the wise use of resources. 3, cultural diversity and inclusion is key in building sustainability. And 4, the preservation of history and heritage is also key. Unlike a dictatorship ruled by a tyrant, democracy means the inclusion of everyone in an ethical manner. So, the politics of democracy requires a cultural shift in which no one person leads from the top. To do this, there must be an ethical commitment to translating the science and knowledge into the public policies that lead to action. We must be militants for a civilization that uses science as a term of reference that allows the integration of tradition and modernity. We must listen to each other. Our social ties create the capacity to allow us to work for the future. While living in the present and thinking about our past, history, and heritage. Thank you.